NRL Round 7 action, the New Zealand Warriors up against the Dragons over there in Wollongong Friday night. Let's take a look how the two teams line up. Hey team, welcome back into the Warriorholic off the back of a pretty stressful weekend. Boys looking like they're going to get pumped by the Eagles there for a while, but managed to get back into it. Get the 1 point from a draw, which I guess you could take as a win, even though we had our chances to win it. But shit, we're really going to have to step it up and be a bit more clinical this weekend. Dragons coming off the back of a win against the Tigers. Pretty up and down team this year. I'd say we've been a little bit more consistent in what we've delivered. But over the years, they've been a bloody bogey team for us, so we can't take anything for granted based on recent form. Taking a look at how we've gone over the years, the joint venture franchise was formed in 1998, and since then we've played 36 times. They've had the wood on us, 24 wins versus 12. Definitely a bogey team, and we've struggled against them over there in Wollongong particularly. However, in recent times, we had an 18-6 and a 48-18 win over them last year. So recent form slightly in our favour. You'd have to think that we've been playing a bit more consistent footy this year. We haven't had any clinics put on us. They certainly have. So let's take a look at this year's form. They've had a total of 3 wins, 3 losses. We've had the 3 wins, a draw, and 2 losses in the more recent 5 games. Spanked by the Dolphins there, 38-0, 46-24. Smashing there from the Cowboys, a win over the Seagulls, 20-12. That's a pretty random outcome given the form of the Seagulls this year. 30-10 loss to the Knights and a 24-12 win over the Tigers. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to watch too much of that game. Had a bit on over the weekend, so I can't comment on too much on that, but from what I've heard from other people in a brief look at the highlights, pretty scrappy game. Tigers well below the best that they've put out over the recent times. They're getting a couple of wins. Ourselves there, like as we know, we went down to the Storms in the last minute, beat the Raiders, beat the Knights, beat the Rabbitohs quite convincingly, then the draw on the weekend. I do feel, like I said, we've been much more consistent. No teams dominated us. The biggest score we've had against us is 30 points from the Storms, but we can see they can definitely leak a few points there with some big wins against them, 46 points and 38 points. Their 2 biggest losses. But Flano, he's a niggly coach. We know playing them over in Wollongong will be a bloody challenge. There's going to be a sold-out crowd there, I'd say. Pretty close to the ground. I'm back in Richie and the team from Warriors Nation to have a good crowd there. Get the chant sparking and make it feel like a home game for the Warriors. So looking at the stats over this year, 106 for and 142 against for the Dragons. 132 for and 94 against for us. So as far as points go on the table, we're sitting there on 7 and they're on 6. But points for and against shows a very different story there. 75% completion rate versus 81. Tackle efficiency, both teams sitting there right about the 90% mark. So they can definitely defend when they have to, but when they're off, man, they can get a score put on them, as I've already said. So what are you going to expect? It's really hard to know. They've got an out there in Bird who's dropping out, really experienced Origin player, is a big out for them. But we lose Jazz, so we've got a pretty inexperienced bench, which we'll get onto later. But man for man in the starting lineup, I'd like to think we have a bit much. But when we played them at home last year, towards the end of the season, we struggled to put them away, even though we're on a bit of a roll. So nothing taken for granted here. I'm expecting a really hard-fought battle. Let's take a look how the teams line up, though. At fullback, obviously we've got Chance Niggle-Cluckstep for us, and Sloan getting the nudge there. Been a bit of conjecture around him. He struggled in defence a little bit. Talk would he get dropped out of fullback, put on a wing maybe putting Lomax back to fullback. But he's there again. Experience-wise, Chan's almost up to his 100th game here versus just the 42. So far this season, he's played all 6 games though, Sloan. Versus Chance's 2, but average running meters 304 average from outbound Chance versus just 105, which has got to be one of the least running meters for a fullback in the comp, I would have to imagine. But 1 try versus 6, so he knows how to get over the line, this young man. I think I underestimated him last year. He is very quick across the ground. He's got a good little pass on him. So attacking-wise, he's a definite handful, particularly in broken play. But not the greatest defender in the world, so we can look to exploit that. 13 tackle breaks for Chance, 21 for Sloan. That said, he's played 3 times as many games. 2 try assists, 2 line breaks, and 84% tackle efficiency for Chance. 0 try assists, 5 line breaks, and 88% tackle efficiency. So overall, look, I've got to give this to Chance. Yeah, biased as I am, I think just we saw what he's contributed in the past 2 games. I'd really like to see him up against a team who doesn't have the same sort of defense as Manly. Chime in a little bit more and get that ball playing going like we saw against South, and I think he can have a massive impact. I'd love to see a 10 out of 10 performance, but again, on attack, don't sleep on Sloane, he'll burn you up. Montoya up against Christian Tuipulotu, who has come in for Greg Bird with Lomax shifting into the centres. Montoya with 123 games, 6 games this season, just the 33 games for Tuipulotu, and he hasn't played this season. So I've put his New South Wales Cup numbers in here for you to give you a bit of an idea. Montoya averaging 149 metres, 2 tries, 22 tackle breaks, 2 line breaks, and 78% tackle efficiency. 4 games in Cup there with 166 metres average, which is pretty good. 5 tries though, 25 tackle breaks, 7 line breaks, just 62% tackle efficiency. Big boy, but pretty much sort of cancel each other out, I think, from size-wise. He'll be the heavier body, so maybe a little bit harder for him to turn. Probably won't get up as high in the air as Montoya does. Unlikely to have the same level of fitness as well, not playing in first grade for a while. I know he'll be getting a lot of traffic thrown at him. Unfortunately, I think this is just, I'm pretty sure he's going to be playing on the right wing here. That's naturally, like Lomax is on the right-hand side there, so you'd imagine he's going to right centre, and they'll leave the left-hand edge as it is. So you'd expect Ravalawa to be getting more balls coming his way than Tuipulotu, but we shall see. Stats look good, but I haven't seen a lot of him, but asked around, and he's not exactly lighting the world up if he's not actually making it into first grade in a club like Dragons, who've sort of been struggling. So I'm hoping that my man Montoya can put a clinic on him, but sometimes you get these guys come up and get their chance in first grade and really step up. Maybe he takes his chance this week to really try and impress, so we won't be taking him lightly. Left centre for us, RTS stays there, and Lomax coming into right centre for them. Lomax has been dominant on the wing, been playing outstanding, probably one of the top 3 or 4 wingers in the comp, but I don't believe he's a natural centre, so it'll be interesting to see what the switch of position does. We know he's spat the dummy because he wants to be playing fullback, so he's off to the Eels. Shame they don't send him this week for a bit of a meet and greet with all his mates and leave him out for us. But no, he'll be there. He'll probably be feeling kind of primed that he's secured his future going forward. Doubt it's going to impact on his game, but will the shift to centre quieten him down a bit? RTS, look, he's definitely getting the metres that we want out of him. He's pretty solid on defence there in the centres, but I just don't think we're freeing him up enough in open play to really use his speed and his step. Like I've said many times, he's still struggling to really put Montoya away, so I'd like him to make that slight progression here. Again, I've had a lot of people DM me sort of saying he shouldn't be in there, he should be in another position or what have you, but like Webby said, this is a work in progress. If we can get him up to playing to his full ability by around 15, 16, imagine the impact he could have with his X factor there and having Chance at fullback. So I'm rating him to bring it up another level this week. 200 games, well, 201 now for RTS. 6 games this season, average of 93 run meters, 2 tries, 29 tackle breaks, 1 try assist, 3 line breaks, 81% tackle efficiency. Versus Lomax, this is his 100th game this week, so milestone game for him. He'll be looking to have a big one. 6 games so far this season, 189 running meters, so he's up there with our guys as far as running meters when he's playing on an edge, or playing on a wing, I should say. Whether he'll make that many meters up through the middle here at centre remains to be seen. 5 tries, 30 tackle breaks, 5 line breaks, and 84% tackle efficiency. So he's really good out on the edge. Manages to get a good step on, find breaks, getting on the outside. A lot more traffic in the centre, as RTS has found out, so it'll be really interesting to see can they make the most of him. How does he handle RTS's step there? Pretty hard to predict this one. I'm not going to really make a call because you've got the informed winger in the comp up against the guys finding his way in centres, so could be a pretty interesting matchup, but I'm hoping my man RTS gets it up over him. Then we get into the centres. Rocco Berry up against Moses Suli. Geez, Rocco's had some fast guys, some big guys, you name it. He's mixed it up with them. Size-wise, they're pretty much the same height, but Rocco giving away, what's that, about 12 kgs, but I don't think it bothers him. He's definitely capable of dealing with big bodies. Suli's a guy who can have a massive impact on a game. Like, sometimes you look at him and think, man, it's kind of unfair to have someone who can run so aggressively, break the line, dominate a game, but it's very few and far between. Reminds me a lot of Joey Leilua. On his day, he was one of the most devastating running centres in the comp. Suli can be similar, but like I said, not as consistent as someone like Rocco Berry. So 37 games now for Rocco up against 124 for Suli. So he's been around a while. Both of them playing 6 games so far this season. Rocco, average of 94 metres. We saw him up at 100, and was it 19 this past weekend, but not so high the weekend before, which brought that average down under 100. 1 try, 10 tackle breaks, 1 try assist, 1 line break assist, 93% tackle efficiency. But I don't think Rocco's numbers really demonstrate how much of an impact he's having on our team, particularly his defence. We're seeing his running game starting to come of age as well. Suli, on the other hand, 150 metres average, which is pretty good running for a centre. No tries, though, surprisingly. 17 tackle breaks, 1 line break assist, and just the 1 line break, and 87% tackle efficiency. So you kind of think that you want to see a few more tackle breaks and line breaks from a guy that powerful, but again, he's obviously not lighting up as much as he has done in some of his best games, so hopefully Rocco can exploit that. I'd say we'll be able to tie him up relatively well on attack, but who knows? Going to be a tiring night for Rocco dealing with that big body. Dallin Watene-Zelezniak up against Ravalawa. Size-wise, they look very different and much different builds, but what are we giving away there? 9 kgs difference. So yeah, height-wise pretty much similar. Expect Dallin to get up over and above him with a jump for the ball. Hopefully use his agility to get around him, but Ravalawa's not exactly slow, so it'll be a bit of a challenge for Dallin. 5 games this year for him, 6 games for Ravalawa. Averaging 186 metres here, Dallin, getting close to the 200 mark. I think he was it 199 or something in the weekend, so bloody close. Versus 145. So for a guy who's building with his speed, he doesn't make as much metres as you expect. 4 tries for Dallin, 21 tackle breaks, 1 try assist, 5 line breaks though, and 89% tackle efficiency. 0 tries for Ravalawa, but anything you like, he gets 1 in the weekend. 19 tackle breaks, no try assists, 4 line breaks, 69% tackle efficiency. So statistically, you think Dallin's got all over him, but like I said, he can be one of those players who just, who gets in a bit of a mood and can light it up. Who knows? We'll have to see how it plays out, but I'm going to rate Dallin. I think he's in as good a form as he was last year. Probably hasn't had as many tries. So yeah, I'm going to give him the slight edge, as I said, on recent form. But hopefully Ravalawa doesn't come back to bite me. Then at 5'8", this will be a good matchup actually. Tamati Martin up against Kyle Flanagan. I've always been a reasonable fan of Flanagan. I don't think he's a bad player. He's one of those guys that you'll see continue to shine. And I think if you put him in the right setup, I think he'd go well if you put him at the Warriors with the dominant half, playmaking half, like SJ. You could just allow him to play that running game like we do with Metcalf. I think he'd probably shine. Similar if you put him somewhere like the Broncos outside Reynolds. So I think he gets a lot of unjustified shit, and people probably only think he's here because he's Flanagan's son, but I don't mind him. He's played 85 games now. Tamati Martin have only just 72. Flanagan with 6 games this year, Tamati Martin with just 2. Tamati Martin running for 88 metres versus just 47, which is not the greatest for a guy who's meant to be a bit of a running half. 17 kick metres only for Tamati versus 167, so you'll see they split their kicking probably 70-30. 1 try assist, 1 try, 1 try assist, 1 line break assist, and tackle efficiency of 85% for Tamati Martin versus, what do you got there, 167 kicking metres, 3 tries, 1 try assist, 4 line break assists, 1 line break assist, and 92% tackle efficiency. So he certainly doesn't shirk off from the defensive efforts. He might be a little bit gun-shy this week after getting his head taken off by Clemmer. Didn't even get 10 in the bin or get charged for that, which is complete bullshit, by the way. Look, I think they're both quite similar players. They're effort players. They're not the massive X factor guy like an Ezra Mann that you're going to see standing out and running the show and scoring amazing tries, but they'll both have an equally solid impact for their team. So I'm going to leave this one 50-50, and hopefully Tamati will step up on the night and have a clinic like he had against Souths. Sean Johnson up against Ben Hunt. Both similar parts of their career. 318 games now for Ben Hunt, man. And put Origin and international footy on top of that. He's put some bloody miles through those legs. SJ with 256. Size-wise, they're basically around the same size. Both played 6 games this season. Average running metres for SJ 90 versus just 74 for Hunt. 582 kicking metres now for SJ on average versus 452. So while he does do the lion's share, he's only, like I said, around the 70% of their kicks. Flanagan kicking more than Tamati. 3 tries for SJ, 7 line break assists, 5 try assists, and 84% tackle efficiency. It's down by 10% or so on last year. He was up in the mid-90s. 2 line break assists, 10 try assists for Ben Hunt. So you can see a lot of their tack goes through him. And tackle efficiency, same as SJ at 84. Ben Hunt went through last year with his ups and downs and wanting to leave the club and so forth. He's a ultimate professional. You can see he gets out there and puts an effort in every week. And I think he was really the only guy decided whether they had a chance of winning last year. With a lot of the young guys starting to step up and some of the older guys as well, it hasn't been so Ben Hunt-centric for them this year, but I feel like he's starting to slow down a nudge. I think he probably plays his best footy at hooker now, like we see for Queensland. SJ, we saw that try from him on the weekend from about the 40-metre line, that he's still got that spring in his step. I feel like he's in slightly better form, but again, we're going to be up against a guy who's all effort, got a lot of the same attributes as SJ. It's just whether he has the the troops around him and Hunt there. So we shall see. I'm going to give a slight nudge to SJ. Really looking for him to come and have a big game on the road there. Hopefully his kicking will be on song this week. Just get that alignment right, bro. Stop pushing them right. And then at prop. I remember looking at this last year and sort of underestimating Molo. Statistically, AFB's got all over him, but he stepped up last year and had a bloody good game. So we shouldn't underestimate him. Re-signing recently, both him and his brother, to stay on at the Dragons for a couple of years. So 165 games for AFB versus 120. Similar experience here. Size-wise, AFB with a significant size advantage. 6 games for AFB this year, 5 for Molo. Average running of 177 for AFB versus just 107, but they rotate their bench a lot more than us. We saw like last week, our props, they play a lot bigger minutes than a lot of the other props in the comp. So I think you'd have to look at that for yards for minutes. I don't actually have his average played minutes here, but they will definitely be less than AFB. What about the average post contact? 66 for AFB versus 42. 2 tries, 16 tackle breaks, 6 offloads, and 96% tackle efficiency for AFB. Just a 42 post contact meters, no tries, no tackle breaks, which is, I double checked that, no tackle breaks, 2 offloads, and 95% tackle efficiency. So he's good at tying up the middle there, just like our man AFB, but hard to know. I'm not going to completely write him off, but I do think AFB offers a lot more. Molo's really good, sort of that second tier down below the elite props. We looked at signing him, but never happened. It'd be an okay replacement, but he definitely wouldn't fill a hole that AFB is going to leave when he does go over to the Sharks. So I expect AFB to get a slight edge over this one, if not a decent edge, but 90 minutes of footy for the Warriors last week added a few too many miles to his clock, playing the extra 10 minutes. So hopefully he's got the energy to get out there and smash it up this week. Then getting on to the hookers, we've got Wade Egan, as always, Mr. Reliable. Stay safe, bro. Up against Jacob Little. I've got to be honest, I don't really know much about him. Honestly, you get some teams you come up against, you've probably seen the guy play 3 or 4 times against your club, and I just don't really remember much about him, and I haven't had much of a chance to go back and look. So I'm going to have to judge these two on their stats alone, with 113 games for Wade Egan, 100 games there for Liddell, so he's not a new guy. 4 games this season versus 5. Egan running for an average of 71, No tries yet, 2 try assists, 3 line break assists, 2 offloads, 95% tackle efficiency. However, average running 46, no tries, 1 try assist, no line break assist, 2 offloads, and 94% tackle efficiency. So, but looking at him there, he doesn't have great numbers for running out of dummy half, so I think he'll probably be quite similar to what we saw in the weekend there from Croker. Have to wait and see what happens, but I can't imagine he's going to be on Egan's level. I'm expecting if our forwards can get a bit more momentum this week, not such a big forward pack to deal with in the starting lineup anyway. Hopefully we can get some momentum and Egan can light up that running game again and get a couple of try assists. We've got Mitch Barnett, 149 games up against Hamasalia, and he's 74 games. Size-wise, he's not a big guy, only 1.82 m, so that's a little bit shorter than Tom Ali, even, and only 102 kg, but 1.87 m there and 104 kg for Mitch. I'm pretty sure he's a bit bigger than that. 6 games for Mitch so far this season, just the 2 for Salia. 152 average running metres for Barnett. 58 post-contact metres now he's up to, against just an average of 69 running metres and 31 average post-contact. So again, an example of props are not playing as many minutes, but the average post-contact versus actual running metres, Celia has more there. Neither have got any tries so far. 4 tackle breaks for Barnett, none for Celia. 7 offloads versus none. 94% tackle efficiency versus 84. Surprised me Mitch Barnett doesn't have more tackle breaks. He certainly makes momentum and he makes the post-contact meters, but I guess he drags people along with him. But yeah, stats-wise, Celia is obviously not on his same statistical level, but he's definitely a serviceable prop. And if he's in there starting over Lowry and the other Molo and the like, so Flanagan obviously rates him. So I'm not going to underestimate him, but I'm hoping career best form from my man Mitch Barnett's going to continue this week. He was my man of the match last week. We'd love to see him do it again this week. Righty, onto the edges. Right edge for us, we've got Jackson Ford up against the ex-Warrior and Raymond Faitala Mariner. He's been having a bit of a mixed bag over recent years, and this year for them. Complete mere dropping that ball under the posts against the Cowboys a few weeks back. But 63 games up against 123. Both playing 6 games so far this year. Jackson with 3 tries, 4 line breaks, no line break assists, no offloads. He hasn't 38 average tackles per game at 93%. So he might have a drop ball in him, but shit, he gets through some work on defense there. What do we got here? Average of only 57 running meters for Talamara. No tries. Close to having one, buddy. No line break assist, 6 off. No line break assist, 6 offloads, and only an average of 28 tackles per game at 89%. I don't think he's playing 80 minutes, so shit. He was a great player back in the day, but I think he's past his best. Definitely not the most consistent player in the world, but you could argue Jackson's probably similar as well. But again, other than those couple of drop balls, he's really reduced the penalties this year. Can't question his work rate when he does get ball in hand. More than anything, he's got to get that timing right, not overrun the bloody ball. So he's running onto the ball, not trying to catch it behind him, right on the line there. And if he can do that, I think he can get one up over Faitala Mariner. But who knows, he's an experienced fella, probably looking to make a statement against his own club, so don't write him off. Our right edge there, left edge, Capewell up against Sewer. 144 games against 119, both similarly sized guys. 5 games this year for each of them. Average of just 68 running meters for Capewell versus 118 for Sewer. So we know Sewer can get out there and bustle up, but he's no Olakalotu. He's no Paseka, so he should be a little bit easier for us to deal with this week. No tries, 1 line break assist, 3 offloads, an average of 39 tackles at 91% for Capewell. 2 tries, 2 line breaks, 1 line break assist, 7 offloads, and only an average of 27 tackles at 96%. So we can see our value and our edges doing a lot of the work on defense, trying to free our props up to do the hard yards through the middle there, off the back of our backs getting a bit of a roll on. Sewer's another one of those guys who can have a really dynamic game and can bloody hard to stop right on the line. Some good ball playing, but again, he just probably lacks the consistency of some of the top edge back rowers in the game, but he'll be a handful. However, I'm looking for Cape Wai to step up and have a real statement game again this week. He was did a lot of the hard work, and he really came into his own in the back half of the back end of the game there in Golden Point in the weekend. So hopefully he's not too tired, but I'm looking for him to have a really solid impact, particularly on attack this week. I'd like to see either a try or a try assist from him. Then we get to lock, the big bro, Tohu Harris up against Eisenhuth. Been watching Breaking Bad over the past few weeks again, and old Heisenberg there, Eisenhuth. What do you got there? 226 games for Tohu, just a 66 for Eisenhuth, which I surprised me. I feel like he's been around a lot longer than that. Both were 6 games this year. Just an average of 58 metres versus 157 for Tohu. Surprisingly low, but post-contact Tohu with only 48 versus 27. No tries, no tackle breaks. And I'm sure he would have had tackle breaks, but he hasn't. I double-checked that. 2 offloads and an average of 41 tackles per game. No tries, 8 tackle breaks, 5 offloads, 35 tackles at 94%. So both workhorse type back rowers. Eisenhuth is, again, he's another guy who's really serviceable, goes about his job, good ball playing, but he's not one of those guys that most people would include in their top 10 if you ask them to name all the best locks in the comp, but he'll be serviceable. But I'd say Tohu is obviously going to have a big impact on this game. Hopefully with our, we can find a way with our bench to give Tohu a bit of a break. Too many games playing 80 minutes recently, but we shall see there. But I expect Tohu to be really looking to make up for that drop under the post in the weekend there. He'll be gutted about that. He'll be one looking to put on a clinic this weekend to make up for it. So I expect him to have a slight edge here. Rightio, then we get to the benches. This is where it gets interesting for the Warriors. Chanel Harris-Tavita, Tom Ali, Adam Pompey, and Jacob Latham. Surely Adam Pompey's just a smokescreen there to take all of the early week pressure off Zion Mai'u. I had a bit of an inside word there that he is probably going to be the guy to come in, but who knows? Which leads me to a bit of concern. Like, we've got a total there, even with Adam Pompey in there, what's it like, about 130 games. Take him out of there and you're under 100 games of first grade experience. Up against the bench here, got no idea how you say this guy's name, Marshek. Don't know too much about him, just 3 games in. He's a halfback, but I guess he's covering hooker and the like, utility role. Blake Lowry, Jack DeBellin, and Ben Murdoch-Masila with a combined about 500 games of NRL there. So experience-wise, it's going to be a real test for our young guns, but I think the energy and enthusiasm, the speed of those guys, up against some older legs here. I mean, I think Lowry's a guy who just looks like a lummox, but he's a really serviceable prop. I think Jack DeBellin's actually playing some of the best footy we've seen from him since he came back from his indiscretion there, or maybe claimed indiscretion. And Ben Murdoch-Masila, he was struggling to get in the match day 17 at times last year, but he seems to be a regular feature on the bench. It's such an enigma here because you've got probably what I think right now is our best starting 13, but damn, this is far from the bench you'd be going for. Probably Chanel would be the only guy on here if you are picking or able to pick your best bench. For me, it would be Dylan Walker, Marata Niokore, and probably Jazz, or maybe Tom Ali. There's a bit of a Bunty there. There's a bit of a question mark there, but there's definitely a couple of guys here that you wouldn't expect to be in our first choice. So I'm going to give the slight edge to the Dragons this week. So not often I do. I think we usually have a pretty competitive bench, but I'm going to go for the experience there. Really curious to see how our bench rotation is going to work. What do they do with these young fellas? How many minutes do they play? All in all, I think the key for us is to cut out those errors. We've got to get down to around 7 or 8 max errors. No unforced errors. Maintain that ball, play clinical footy, and we know that we can demolish these guys if we play to our best. But we start dropping balls, start giving them their, getting their tails up through guys like Lomax. Who knows what could happen? Hostile crowd. But I'm backing the boys to do a bit of a clinic on. I really want to see us put on a 40-point win here. Big call, I know. A team we've struggled against over the years, playing them over in a really annoying place to go and play. But if we're genuinely going to be top 4 contenders this year, these are the games we've got to put on clinics. None of this like little struggle to a 2 or 3 point one. We've got to be clinical and put them away. Who are you looking forward to seeing the most? Anything you're worried about there? Let me know in the comments. I'm really curious to hear what you say. Up the mighty Warriors. Let's get it done. Time to get a convincing win.